Welcome to the X Global News Channel. On December 31, units of the Russian armed forces with up to one motorized rifle brigade attempted to probe the defense of the FU near Huliapol, Zaporizhia region. According to Russian and Ukrainian military officials, they occupied several empty villages in the gray zone, and according to Russian propagandists, they were successful and displaced the FU. In reality, however, everything was limited to empty villages with rare FU strongholds. According to the RF Armed Forces Grouping Headquarters, the new impromptu operation was not the beginning of a major offensive operation, but training of the mobilized in combat conditions. In the occupied part of the Zaporizhia region, mostly fresh units of the Russian armed forces, consisting of mobilized men, are assembled. The group commander decided to speed up their training and test them in combat. For this purpose, the motorized riflemen were driven to capture empty villages, exposing themselves to artillery and mortar fire of the Ukrainian army. In late December and early January, the Zaporizhia grouping was being trained and brought into combat shape. According to rumors at the headquarters, Surovikin appreciates the combat qualities of these 4,000 and 45,000 people and expects to use them in an unexpected for the FU offensive. It is not yet known in which particular offensive. According to Russian officers in the group and in the main staff of the Russian armed forces, these units can be called combat-ready only conditionally. They will not be able to solve any serious problems. The low combat effectiveness of the troops since the beginning of the war has never stopped the command from taking any action, so we will see how and where they will be used. The news from Bakhmut led us to believe that the Surovikin exercises near Guliapol may be connected with a possible new offensive on Bakhmut. Until today, the Russian military had declared Bakhmut as an intermediate point on the road to Sloviansk. But the capture of Bakhmut does not bring the capture of Sloviansk any closer, because the Russian armed forces will have strong fortifications in Konstantinovka and Drezhkovka on the way. The words of the staff officers about Surovikin's unexpected offensive led us to think about another direction for this offensive, and with the use of troops from the Zaporizhia region. This is nothing more than a thought out loud, which we want to share with you, from the side of Guliapol and from the side of Bakhmut. For a new strike on Bakhmut and then on to Pokrovsk, the RF armed forces may use the strike grouping prepared long ago near Olchevsk. Up to two-thirds of the forces accumulated in Zaporizhia Oblast could be used to strike from Guliapol, to connect near Pokrovsk and cut off several FU brigades near Uglida, Marinka and Avdiivka. Another option for advancing from Zaporizhia region could be the villages of Starominovka and Vlaika Novoselka. According to Russian officers from various units in the Brest region of Belarus, the Russian armed forces are still there. Some of the already sparse equipment was sent to the Luhansk region, some remained in the units, including the 38th Brigade of Special Operations Forces of the Belarusian Army, in which there are almost no Belarusians left since mid-November. That's because they were replaced by Russian soldiers who arrived from near Kherson. The officers say they have returned from the forests and bogs of the borderlands, and periodically go on raids, but they have no orders to engage in combat with Ukrainian patrols. The group is not reinforced with people. On the contrary, one of the sent units of the PMCS has been withdrawn. The Russian military hopes that the command will be smart enough to abandon the attack on Lutsk, and at the same time it will forget its soldiers and officers in Brest and Grodno. There are not many people willing to go back to fight in the Lano or Diana. The risk of an attack on Lutsk remains, but is decreasing with each passing week. The Ukrainian military on the other side of the border are also talking about this. After the new year, the Ukrainian and Russian opposition media published articles and opinions about the Russian armed forces' preparations for an offensive to Kiev and Chernihiv. Kiev could be approached from the territory of Belarus from Mosa. One of the PMC units, consisting of prisoners, was withdrawn from under this city just before the new year. It was sent to the DPR. The entire remaining grouping near Mosa is about 6,000 people. It will not be able in any way to solve the problem of the capture of 2 million people in Kiev. It is possible to attack Chernihiv from the territory of Belarus from Gomel, and from there it is possible to try to approach Kiev from the east. But in the Gomel area the Russian grouping does not exceed 1,500 men. Russian troops could try to reach Chernihiv from the Bryansk region. Whatever. This concludes the news from the battlefield. Let's move on to international news. Bloomberg News. Germany can transfer frozen Russian assets to Ukraine if its allies do the same. Germany is ready to use frozen Russian assets to rebuild Ukraine if legal issues are resolved and its allies follow suit. This was reported by Bloomberg, citing sources. According to the sources, the German government supports Ukraine's demands for war reparations, but has not yet taken an official position on confiscating assets from the Russian state. If Berlin can solve its own problems, it could give new impetus to discussions in the European Union and put pressure on the US to confiscate assets, the piece noted. News from Germany. Germany refused to negotiate about reparation payments to Poland. The German government issued a note stating its refusal to negotiate with Poland on reparations for damages during war. This note was received by the Polish Foreign Ministry. On Jan 3, Poland sent a statement to the UN asking for help in obtaining war reparations payments from Germany. On December 28, 2022, the German Foreign Ministry responded to the Polish Foreign Ministry's note of October 3, 2022. The note was delivered to the Polish Foreign Ministry on January 3, 2023. According to the government of Germany, the question of reparations and compensation for war losses in Poland remains closed, and the German government has no intention to negotiate on this issue, reads the report of the Polish Foreign Ministry. The Polish authorities assessed the size of German damage during the Second World War at 6.2 trillion zlotys, 1.3 trillion. The note with the demand to pay this sum was signed by Polish Foreign Minister Zbigniew Rau on September 3. News from the Baltics. The president of Estonia declared that it makes no sense to fight against the Russian language. In his interview to the TV channel ATV, the president of Estonia Illar Karis answered the question about the struggle against the Russian language in the country. He thinks it makes no sense. According to Karis, he does not agree that there should be less Russian language teaching in the country. Language is a means. I see no reason to fight languages. Russian itself is a cultural language, and Russian should be taught earlier than other languages, because it has a different alphabet and is more difficult to master, he said. The president added that there's no reason to fight with the Russian literature as well. The language should not be blamed for anything, he concluded. News from Agence France Presse. Macron told Zelensky that France will supply Ukraine with armored vehicles. French President Emmanuel Macron, in a conversation with Vladimir Zelensky, said that France will supply Ukraine with armored vehicles or M10 Oswald tanks, Agence France Presse reported with reference to the Élysée Palace. The M10 is a French heavy armored vehicle, often also classified as a wheeled tank. That's all for this news. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to keep up to date with new videos. Also like and write your opinion in the comments. Thanks for watching us.